What's up, people? Okay, sorry. I think I said in the ethics video that was the last video, but this is actually the last video, so congrats. Um, so a couple things here. I want to go over essay task 3 because I think it's the most complicated one. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you enough information to help you kind of do what you need to do. Let me see if I can draw on it. Yes, perfect. Okay, how about if I use my finger? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so this is it, my friends. This is the rough draft. So I'm really hoping that when you turn this in, we can give you a score that's pretty good, and you don't have to do too many revisions. That we're just kind of tweaking, putting in the citations that we need, maybe doing a little more funky intro, things like that. So first thing is make sure you have tasks 1 and 2 complete before you do this task. It will make it a world easier. You can not. Um, I won't stop you necessarily, but it's one, you're not going to get credit for doing those tasks, and two, it's just going to make it a lot harder for you because you have pretty much like half this done already if you've done tasks 1 and 2. The formatting is not super important to me right now, but in general, you're going to want to use 11 or 12 point font. Double space your work. It makes it easier to make to make comments. Use a sans serif font if you would. So for something like what I'm using right here, Calibri or Tahoma is nice. Arial kind of makes me upset, but if you want to because you love it, go ahead. I've also provided this guided outline. You don't need to fill this out or anything. It's just to guide you and help you, but use it, please. So the first thing is make sure you write the complete prompt as the title of your essay. So they call them essay titles. It's kind of lame, I know. But use the complete prompt as your title. Put it on a title page. And then here's kind of how I would foresee this going. So your introduction, you're going to want to be no more than really 200 words, which is not really a lot. And we're going to try to keep it a little short right now. We can add some like little exciting tidbits later to really get the reader thought provoked. The reader being me. But so yeah, so we'll reserve this letter A here for your cool thought provoking intro. But what we want to make sure we have is the framework. And the framework is like where you start off from. So we want to make sure that we clearly define terms in a way that's relatively nuanced. It shouldn't necessarily be like the textbook or dictionary definition, but you're going to be using these and you just kind of explore maybe even like different perspectives. So like how would different people maybe define accepting knowledge for that first one, or trust, or something like that. So think about that and then come to a conclusion. You're going to want to have a thesis. It's not really like what you would think of as a general argumentative thesis. It's kind of just your short answer to the prompt. You might have seen some of those sample essays that people did. They're not like a knowledge question. I think that's a little tacky. I would say come up with a solid claim. And again, the thing here is you may end up changing your mind by the end, and you might have to go back and change it, or you might just want to reference that, you are cool with having those changes at the end in your conclusion. But it's important so that you know the point your claims will attempt to support. Otherwise, you're going to kind of get lost, and that's not good. And then we're going to want to have some kind of little roadmap. So unless you include this in your thesis, which I highly suggest including a roadmap in your thesis, not just making your thesis a claim, but a full-fledged thesis where you're explaining kind of the roadmap of where things are going to go, but include a brief, like 1 or 2 sentence little roadmap that will develop your thesis a little bit throughout the essay. So your body paragraphs are going to be where obviously most of the meat is going to be. I'm going to say you're going to want to probably max out around 600 words per KQ. So per knowledge question, you have 2 knowledge questions. So we're talking max 1,200 words. Okay, 1,600 words total max. So you want to not be too much over 600 each. It's probably going to be, man, this isn't a 5-paragraph essay. So we're thinking like somewhere around 1 to 4 paragraphs to fully explain your knowledge question. It probably shouldn't be 1. I mean, unless it's an itty bitty baby knowledge question that you kind of added on or broke one apart or something. Okay. So it does not need to be exact 5-paragraph essay by any means. Around like 8 paragraphs is probably where we're going to be headed here. So this is how I break it up. Knowledge question 1, find a way to introduce it. That's, not just you blah, just like saying it. Okay. But have knowledge question 1 embedded in there. And then I would follow this format and just take it one step at a time. Okay. Just do it over and over again. You can add nuance in later. That's part of like your revisions for your final draft. Just do this process. Okay. We need to have a topic sentence. I want to be able to tell what you're going to say. I don't want to try to guess. Okay. We can do that in the final draft if you want to try to embed things. All right. So I'll give you an example. I just had this like weird prompt here that I was looking at, but mathematics can be relied on because it is a purely logical system. Claim. Okay, awesome. Support it for me in some real life situations. So you might need to elaborate a little bit on your claim or your topic sentence. So something saying like mathematics is axiomatic, like it has these certain principled truths and independent of subjective experience. I should be sorry. Um, so we're going to start there. And then we'll kind of lead into our real life situations. Okay. So we have a very like outline, formulaic to a sense, but it's going to have a coherent, cogent kind of layout of the premises and the conclusions. So introduce your first real life situation for your first knowledge claims or your first knowledge question, and you're going to want to talk about your knowledge claims. Like it's going to be pretty mandatory that you talk about the knowledge claims of the RLS. So what conclusions about knowledge are brought about? And look that I said this, okay, about knowledge. This is not an ACT essay where you're just talking about like some stuff that happened and how it relates to your prompt, okay? You're talking about what it says about knowledge. So it's got to be brought about from the RLS. And then we've got a number of analysis options. You don't need to do them all, but you should be doing something that is helping produce your analysis and demonstrate that you're doing some higher order thinking here. So different ways of knowing, alternative perspectives, counterclaims, knowledge issues that are brought forth, other areas of knowledge that maybe would see something different or are not readily apparent, okay? Tying it back to the knowledge framework within the area of knowledge you're working on, so on and so forth, okay? Now, look, this is going to be your RLS 1. It might not all happen in one nice little tidy paragraph, okay? This could be a couple of paragraphs here. You probably don't want to be over more than 4 paragraphs for one real life situation. That's going to be quite a bit. You might be getting too descriptive. But then we're going to move on again to RLS 2, okay? So same type of situation, claim, explain, real life situation, do the knowledge claims, do the analysis. And then most importantly, somewhere in there, we need to have a clear link to like why do I care about this? So how does it relate back to the prompt? Okay, not just the knowledge question, but how does it go all the way back to the prompt? Okay, that can be kind of embedded within these. If you want to do it after each real life situation, go for it. If you want to do it at the end as like kind of a conclusion to that knowledge question, that's fine too. But it's got to be like easy to see. Otherwise, if people are guessing, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Okay, so keep that in mind. So then you're just going to repeat the same formula for knowledge question 2. So follow the same procedure. And in your third knowledge question, if you have a third one, but here's the thing, watch your word count, okay? You want to have relatively equitable attention to each knowledge question. You don't want to kind of blast one and then be like, oh, shoot, I forgot I have to write some things, okay? All right, so you're pretty much out of the woods at this point. In fact, here's what I would do. This is what I generally do when I write papers, and I've been doing this for like a long time. So I would start with my thesis and my roadmap, okay? And then I would just write the body. Sometimes if I'm not quite sure exactly, I probably shouldn't say this. This might make it more difficult. I feel like you should have an idea of what your claim's going to be, okay? You should have an idea of what this is going to be, but you can move on and start writing the body first, okay? And then come back and adjust if you need to. Just a writing strategy for you. So then we're out of the woods. We've got the conclusion, okay? So your conclusion, what big like general insights have come out of this? So this is your time to go very broad. So like, why is this important? What is the significance that we really want to take away? And then we're going to kind of move down into the implications significance. So tell us why it's important that we consider the ideas that you've expressed. It's like, when and how does it matter that we understand this situation? Okay? Even if you feel like it's very contrived and it's not how you think and you didn't really enjoy yourself, you need to try to think of something about like why this might be important, okay? If you're an IB student, we think about this as like stroking the IB's ego a little bit, but this is just kind of to drive your points home. And then finally, if you have time, and this is kind of like, extra, if you have time, you can add in a little bit of alternative perspective here as well. It's going to just help your overall analysis. like look like you're really thinking about it. It's like, how might someone else approach this question differently? Kind of add that into the conclusion. Are there unresolved questions? Like, it's okay to have unresolved questions. You don't want to have too many, but if you have some, it just demonstrates that you've thought about this critically and that you know that there is uncertainty. And explain some limitations of this new knowledge. This is also okay to do. It shows you're thinking analytically about your own knowledge. Okay. You want to have a relative stance on things, but you can talk about the doubt or uncertainty that you have. It's a thinking essay. Okay. When you're done with this, before turning in your rough draft, just walk through this checklist and see what you think about this. How do you feel regarding what you've done? Okay. Did you clearly create the thesis, meet your parameters of the prompt, bring in a good amount of TOK concepts, analyze conclusions, bring in varying perspectives, demonstrate your ability to think critically, and then you stay within the word limit. Okay. So keep that in mind as well. If you're above the word limit, we've got to cut out words. Okay. Um, Also, I'm happy to give you feedback as you go, but I need notice. So tell me at least 24 hours beforehand so I can complete it in timely fashion. I also encourage you to go to the scribe, talk about your essay. Although they may not have written a TOK essay, they should be able to help you with general organization and clarity. It's also just a good idea if you talk to somebody about your writing, especially someone that maybe doesn't know what the prompt is, or kind of like what if somebody that doesn't know anything about writing TOK essays can understand your essay and understand your point of view, it probably means that your essay is pretty good, to be honest. So I'm happy to meet with you during AAP. We schedule a time remotely. Finally, I'm going to be putting resources and teams in class notebook, and just let me know what you need. Okay. Um, yeah, so there's some reflections here for you. So before when you turn this in, I'm gonna make all my comments here, and I'm gonna score you on the rubric. Maybe I'm still debating about that. I don't know if I want to give you a score on the rough draft or not. So I'll think about that. But look over the rubric. What is something that you're feeling good about, or you feel like you have a strong grasp? What is something you might want me to specifically look at? And is there anything else you need? Okay, so that was kind of a long form explanation, but if you need it, it's there for you. And again, let me know if you need any help with anything, and we'll go from there.